Welcome back to Factorio Space Age. My name is Nilaus and we're continuing here with our masterclass, and today we're going to complete the NAUVIS starter base. And I know that a lot of people have asked me both in YouTube comments and also on Twitch streams, am I going to continue this? Yes, I am. I'm going to continue this for the entirety of Space Age. We'll be going through every little minute detail of sorting on Fulgora and I don't know, ice processing on Aquilo and lava processing on volcanoes. Everything that is there in the game, we will be covering in a masterclass or several in case it's needed. So what we're going to do today is we're going to be wrapping up the this novice database because it is, well, it's almost done. We have all the rocket parts here. We have all the robots. We got all the things. And in the start of the previous episode, we sort of marked all the things we still need to do. And we just so happen to have two locations left. We have one location here and we have one location here. So I'll make all the stuff here and then have this one reserved to rocket silos. And I think that's going to be nice. Another thing that maybe you're seeing is, scroll out. I have a new pattern for the city block grid. I love it. I love the star system. It's weird. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I use the small medium power poles to cover this distance, but actually two large power poles like this, it turns out to be a beautiful star pattern. And so I'm going to try this for a bit. Maybe I like it, maybe I don't. And that one is a rogue one that doesn't need to be there. So I've updated the city block blueprint as well, so that you can use this star pattern if you feel like it. I think it's beautiful, and I think it's very convenient because you don't have these long ones down here. But you know, to each their own. Maybe you want something else or than this. Let's start by doing the design work and maybe talking a little bit about what we're going to do here. So I want to have like this. Let's go back in normal build mode. All these will also be the normal ones. There we go. That's going to be the normal ones. So we want to make module 1, and then when we have it, module 2. You can also see the stuff like this. This is all things that are before we launch. This thing is okay. Some of these are before we launch rocket, like rocket silos, landing pads, starter packs, what the hell are they called? Cargo bays and crushers and collectors. They are all before. But then when we get to space science, which will be the next episode, then we will have able to make thrusters, and we will be able to get logistics chests. So we also add logistics chests. We also need some of these. I can't even remember what they're called. Space platform foundations, indeed. So all this, that means we have to make a pub that is assuming a little bit of space, like a little bit of space science as well, and that will be the last thing we build. So this is when we have this, we have everything we want on NAUVIS ready to go to volcanoes, and that is the intention. So what we want to do is we want to come up with some kind of a pattern for this, and we have to consider that it actually has to be, let's look like that. We have to consider that it has to work for both before we get the space science. So we must be able to put the tier 1s into a box, and then it also has to work when we get this recipe, and then it unlocks it and you get the next one. So we have to make sure that it does both of them at the same time. And the way I want to do this is by basically saying we'll have these going in, and then that one goes up here, because that means it allows us to do stuff like this. And then I want a box right there. That's a lot of robots. Why do I have so many robots? I don't know. There we go. Now I have less robots. There we go. And this one will then be marked as U. So that means that we can send these out and they can go up here. Then I want to just make 2 of these because why not? And they will be able to export into a location, a shared location. And that will then be the tier 2. And that will basically be what I want. I didn't need some inbounds, and we can actually do that pretty simple, because if I did red and green on this belt here, these are red and green on the lower belt, and that should be it, right? And let's see if it works. I check this belt, this will be red and green. And there, and the last one up here will be only the blue ones, which will only be necessary once we get the other ones. That should allow us to build all this and get it in here slowly but surely. So that's pretty simple. Then we can just repeat this 4 times because there are 4 different things and they all have the same recipe. Now the bigger question is, how do I control how much to make of each of these items? And that's kind of going to be the next little issue. We are going to start by saying this is looking good, so let's build it somewhere down here. That looks like a great place. And that one. And then we kill this and then make it again here and here. So there's a really nice spacing as well. And this can then go over to that side and get inbound. Feel free to let me know if you like or dislike this new pattern with the robots or these power poles. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Alright, so what should we do? We should actually have these being... Oh, not that one. That should be there, here, and these should be... Right, and because the most important ones will go first, and that's going to be productivity and speed. Those are the most important ones, and then after that we'll be making the other ones. Oops, that one is going to be here, and last one up here will be speed. Nope, that's way too difficult for us. That one, and here, and then of course also change the parts here. So this is pretty damn simple for the first one. Then, as I was saying, how are we going to get stuff inbound here? Well, we're going to be getting in on a belt. The question I was raising before about how, we're going to do that afterwards, because I think that's better to do it that way. Let's see. Let's make it something like this, because I'm going to need some space here around this. Cut. There. Now this requires steel, blue, engines, let's forget the pipes, and concrete. Right, so if you remember these 1, 2, 3, 4 items and then go inbound, then you say, yep, that's the same. And we also have a space platform, damn. Same. Low density structure is now added. Now with the low density structure, and then here we have red and green and steel. But the steel is coming in from this side, but the red and green, well, they come down from here. So we're going to be stealing this line down here, somehow get it up and get it back. Right, so that's that part. All of these will now be landed a little bit over, like that. There. And they are now powered, and I want to take you out because I don't want this to be automatically powered. Alright, so this looks good. And then we need to get the inbounds. And this one we had an extra one, so we actually do need to make pipes at this location. We're not going to bring in with bus because, or we're not going to bring it in with robots because, well, why not? Why should I? There, so we're going to bring it in, and that means we are going to get over here just a simple inbound. That one. And this will be just iron coming in. So that's the first inbound. Then we need to figure out all the other inbounds because this is the easy one. Good. So iron comes in, makes that, goes in here. Now we need to make all the other ones. So what we can do is we're going to have 2 belts here and 1 belt up here with the stuff we want. And most of them are not really going to be very high throughput. But the only one that's going to be somewhat high throughput is this one because we need to make a lot of rocket silos. So, and it also sort of very slowly comes in. So what we want is just kind of figure out how to get this. So this is going to be like a smooth pattern of getting stuff inbound. And over here I'll do something like this. And that will be sort of repeatable. That one, that one, that one. And all the other ones can just be low. So what is it we need? We need some blue science here. And we need some low density. Down here we need some steel. And we need some concrete. And up here, what are the last 2 things? That is a little unfortunate that we do need this, but that one we do need, and we don't have it yet, but we will. And then the last one, actually I want this to be engines from that below and that from the top, because that makes much more sense. Like that. So now we can get those in, and then we can get outbounds here. And they should also just be like that. So now we kind of have a pattern that we can repeat. Pretty much, at least. And let's see, this part is very repeatable. Here, oops. Ah, never mind. Yeah. Like that. And this one's steel, so that moves forward for whatever we need the steel for. And let's see, then we'll get these two in and these two in. And you are gonna go over here as well. And then we just see, okay, so, oh, you still need to go, there. Good. So now we just figure out which ones need what. You need steel, blue, and concrete. Steel, blue, and concrete. That's happy. Next one is steel, blue, and that thing up here, which is not going to be that. So steel, blue, yes. Next one is steel, blue, and engines. Steel, blue, and engines. See a pattern? That goes here. Actually like this. And this one is steel, blue, and low density. Steel, blue, and low density. So that's also good. This is steel, engines, and so engines comes up here. So we're basically getting from all of them. You can just simplify things by just saying, let's just get everything into everything, because then you just have a repeatable pattern. I put these as green because they need to fill up quite a lot before they actually get done. Now that is going to be you and you. And you also need, you don't need anything from this one. So the last thing we need is we need to have something. I think they need to get in much closer. This just needs to go much closer. Yes, one space in between. Nice. And good old symmetry. Like that. And this is a steel coming in, and you're going to make steel chests. I know we could make it a million other ways, but I'm going to make it like this. And that will go up and back again. Damn. Yeah, I guess you need to go one over then. Nope. Like this. Looks good, I think. Alright, so that is probably gonna be, maybe I could actually get it a little bit closer. What if I take this out and then take this one out? Just maneuvering it while working. There we go. That's much nicer somehow. Alright, you're gonna get in here, and you're gonna get in here, and you get in there, and you get in there. And that should get us everything we want. Great. So now they're just frantically baking everything they want, and I will of course make these cities, but the bigger issue is now how are we going to control this? And I propose a really cool way to control this, and it will involve a radar down here. So what if we have a radar, and this radar could get us the information we have already set up for the hub. So what I've done here is I've set up my hub, and that's going to go in here. I'm saying spaceship parts, I'm saying logistics chests, and I'm saying modules. So now these are already here, and they're going to be pushed in on the red wire to this one. Then I can go up to my last one. Why did I build it up here? I should have built it down here. Oh well. That one, and then we're gonna have a power pole here so that you get connected, and that means then on the red wire we get out here, and on the green wire we get that from the roboport in here. Then we now have all the things. All of this is the same as what the hub is telling, and then this information can then be used to go on a red wire because it's a control thing. Then it goes into this one, and then it controls these builds and that one. Is that correct? I don't know. This one should then be enabled so that it only crafts like this. It's a gigantic mystery why this one was enabled. That is only when it's greater than 0, because it's now monitoring this part here. And that makes sense. There. And that means these two are now controlled. What about this one? Well, these need to have 50 of the normal ones in this box. So I'm also just going to say, you're going to just have the normal one here. That looks good. Looks good. And then we can just continue this pattern over on this side. And I rather want to control it. So copy, paste, paste. Good. Looking good. And then I do the same for the other ones. Now what are we going to do up here? We're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to get the red wire up, up, up. And then I'm going to be controlling each of these. There. And they will all be controlled so that it says only when it's greater than 0. And how many do I want? That comes back to this part here. That one. Scroll down, and I'm saying 2 of those. Yeah, maybe I want a little bit more in the beginning. So we'll make 2 to already have 2, because why not when you need a little bit more? But honestly, I think I should sort of have 10 or something, because I want to continue to make it. And let me just set that up for all of them, and then we have actually circuit controls for everything. So now I've fixed all of these. I've set up all the conditions for each of these. I have set up all the conditions for when they are going to be enabled. I have set all the logistics chests and all the conditions here as well. So they're going to be continuing until we get everything we need. And also another thing to remember is that since I'm relying here on the radar, then down here in my original hub, I also have updated the blueprint for the hub. So it includes this one as well, the radar, so that we can have it available anywhere on the planet. Really neat that you can transfer circuit signals with radars. So last thing we want to make is this one. This is the Space Platform Foundation, and it's something that is, well, neat. It has a very simple ratio. If you look at it there, it's 1 copper wire builder into 2 foundation builders. So a pretty simple build here. What I'm going to do is I am going to build a pattern such as this, which will just sort of do everything. And then there'll be a combined on this belt. And then all I need to do now is take here and then flip it vertically like that. And then I think I want one here, and then get some lights as well. There, and there. Let's get a good on lights. Out, 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 out. And that is basically it. And you can see that it is perfectly aligned. So how big is this? Let's look at the ratio. Here, this uses 6. So how many can we build? Realistically, since it's only coming in a half belt of steel and a half belt of steel, then we can't get more than 30 anyway. And, well, we don't really have 30 steel per second being built, but if we had, then, well, they would all be consumed here. So this is basically consuming all the steel we have. So when the base is completely idle, it'll just make foundations, because you never know when you need more. And when you need more, you need it in big batches. So that's going to be the first thing we want to do, this one. And this copper is pretty neat as well. So what we can do is we can, of course, make it as close as possible, or we can just give it a little teeny tiny extra space. And if we give that extra space, then it looks neat with the power lines. And you know what? I think I'll just do that. Whether you do that or not, it's totally up to you. But I think that looks neat when we have this kind of nice design. So let's test it with an input here. That will be, again, copper and steel. It's so common that copper and steel go together. So they go together here as well. There we go. And you get outbound. Great. So that is actually all the things we want to make in our little space hub. I think that we can call this a space hub. This is both getting ready to go to space, and after going to space, it'll do the last thing that the space needs to do. And from here on, there's only really one thing additional, and that is get that into some rocket silos. So let's look at rocket silos. Rocket silos, what are we going to do here? Well, we'll get a few of these rocket silo builds here. And the first thing is, how many can we make? There. So if we make 5 along this line, then it is right up against the line, but it's here. So I think this is the maximum. You could also just give it a bit more breathing room, but then you wouldn't have that. And then it needs 2 lanes inbound, like that. Those 2 lanes are for the 3 inputs here, and they're coming in. And then let's see if there's room for that. I mean, that's just it, right? That's pretty simple. So you want to build something like this, and I'll just undo that because we do need some things. And I'll do this one. When you build it first, you don't have the Mark II modules because you need to go to space to get Mark II modules, but I'm going to put the Mark II modules in because this is going to be the first thing you really want to get those upgraded to Mark II. So I'm going to put that in here. This means that we now need to get inbound for that. I'm not putting any beacons in because I don't have beacons. This one means that it's incredibly slow to launch, but also you might think, okay, you can't support that many. You're absolutely right. I cannot support that many, but it doesn't matter because mainly we're going to be accumulating rocket parts and therefore having the rockets ready. And then when I start making a spaceship, then suddenly I need all the materials in space, and that means I need to be able to launch as many rockets as possible, as fast as possible. But the recharge time for the rockets is not as important. So it's more important that you get a big batch of many rockets at once than it is that you have one rocket launching as fast as possible. That's how I see this, and this is why I'm designing it like this. This will unfortunately have to be sort of, well, if we put it in the middle, it's actually going to be neat because it will fit with everything. So I'm going to be putting these here, and then you're going to be getting an inbound here and an inbound here and an inbound. And again, it doesn't really matter that they're so slow. They're as slow as this. Here, 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 and here. Then that is perfect. I don't even need these 3. So that's good. And then that goes down here. Good. And all we need to do now for this one to be done is just kind of simulate it coming in. And that will be, and I think that later on it'll be a little bit more logical why I'm doing it this way. So I'm going to do it this, and no, it's that. And then LDS is the one that comes in by itself. The reason why is because if we look at this, then it's blue and rocket fuel, and then LDS. So it kind of has to follow the same pattern in here. And actually, to be perfectly honest, it would have to be something like that. That would be better. And that also goes down here. And then that's actually all we need to do. So what I need to do now is I will do, I'll fix it so that it actually feeds from the bus. And then we'll be preparing some blueprints for the entire base and go through those. So now we're going to do it in a little bit of a different way. I've deleted everything, and then it's just a matter of looking at these 2 blueprints. So all of what we've done in the previous 6 and this masterclass is actually getting through to make a design. We're going to be starting by making a design such as, well, how is it going to be? Well, it doesn't matter. This one is the starter base, and if we look at it, it is using this one. Phase 1 is using yellow belts, it's using stone furnaces, and it's up to and including green signs. So that may be something that, in my opinion, when you start the game, and of course it's not the first time you play, but you have unlocked your blueprints, or you've unlocked your blueprints from a previous episode, which obviously you have. Where is that one? Then I'm just going to put that down here so it doesn't blink. There we go. Then you can just stamp this down and then start filling it out. So I would probably be like, okay, I'll fill out this one first because that's going to be an iron bit line, and then maybe a copper line, get it up into a little bit of this, and then start the hub, then start the science, or maybe even start the science in the hub, and then sort of expand out and then go up to military science as well. So this is basically before you start any oil production at all. And then once that is done, then what we can do is we could take a... Ooh, do I not have that? No. We can take an upgrade planner. We'll be upgrading it a little bit further down the line. And then as we progress, we are going to basically replace this one with the other build. And that will be over here, which will then be sort of have to be put at the same time. And then if we just stamp down, boom, we have all of it already. And then I would start filling this one out. So this is the basic formation. So if you want one blueprint to start with, that's the first one. If you want one blueprint, then That's the entirety. This is the entirety of the base that will get you everything you need to launch. And of course, how you're going to get belts inbound, whether by belts, whether by trains, how you're going to get the power, whether you're going to use coal power, rocket fuel, or sort of, yeah, rocket fuel for power or solar. That's up to you, and how it works, because what you really want to find is you want to find in the beginning a space like this where you don't have any conflict with cliffs. And it looks difficult to find this, but honestly, it should not be impossible in the starter base. And just take a look at it, shift it a little bit around, and then maybe do some compromises, maybe have a little bit of overlap here or here or here, and then you make the compromises as you see fit. But with this build, we now have also a very beautiful electrical grid, which I really have started to add to my growing list of OCD things. And then we basically have the base. And then with this, we can start going to space. Just hook up the lines inbound. I marked all the stuff that comes inbound here, so you can remember it, whether you get it in by trains or by belts. And then once you have the running, you can start getting to space, and that's what we're going to do in the next episode. So let me thank the Patreon supporters and everyone who's watching. Patreon supporters particularly, because without you Patreon supporters, this series or this channel would not exist. It is run almost exclusively by Patreon support, so thank you very much. And for that reason, this is also why I'm trying to do something extra and give something good back to the community who are actually supporting me. And that's why I make these cool blueprints, compilations, and those are available, of course, to Patreon supporters. You can check them out on Patreon or on Discord if you are such. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And if you're not a patron, that's also totally fine. I completely understand. This is why we do all the designs like we did in this episode here on camera, so you can build it yourself and you don't need to download blueprints. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you guys next time as we go to space. Until then, take care and stay effective.